Hello, and welcome to this introduction and overview of EasyRx. In this video, we're going to show you an overview of EasyRx and really what the Universal Lab Prescription digital workflow and 3D software platform means for your practice and for your labs. Let's get started. This is how we see the current lab prescription and digital workflow for most practices and labs. Looks confusing, right? That's because we think it is confusing and inefficient for practices and labs. There are so many moving components to a digital workflow. You have different prescription forms depending on where you're sending the case to, as you may do business with 2 or 3 labs. Then you have digital files from your intraoral scanner, and you may still be taking plaster impressions, maybe not on every patient, but on some cases. That means you and your staff have to get these prescriptions, files, and plaster models to those commercial labs. That's a lot to keep up with when each lab has a different prescription portal and prescription type. And then you may have an in-house lab or send cases out to a digital design service. You have to coordinate and track all of that to get it back to the patient or to get it printed. And it's just confusing. Many times it's delegated to 1 or 2 staff who have to keep track of this, and you're probably spending more time and money on this than anyone realizes. It's just very inefficient and time-consuming. And your practice management software is left out of the equation entirely, so you have a disconnect between your practice management software and your lab prescriptions. That's where EasyRx comes in. We are taking all of the different elements of your lab prescription workflow and bringing them together in one cloud-based software, building the ultimate digital workflow for your practice. So what is EasyRx? EasyRx is a universal lab prescription, digital workflow, and 3D software for practices and labs. EasyRx integrates with practice management software products, making your workflow seamless. For example, you can be in your practice management software, launch EasyRx, and fill out key aspects of the prescription form. Use the EasyRx Universal Lab Prescription Form to create all of your lab, clear aligner, and digital prescriptions through one form. No more dealing with multiple forms for each lab. You can submit cases to labs with traditional plaster models or impressions, or attach digital files directly to the prescription to send to your labs. With EasyRx, you can submit cases to your commercial labs or your in-house lab. You can also use the EasyRx Aligner Tracking System to track and manage all of your clear aligner cases. In EasyRx 3D, you can trim, base, label, and digitally remove brackets from STL files, prepping them for printing. So EasyRx takes your hectic workflow and makes it, well, easy. To recap, EasyRx helps you submit and manage all of your lab prescriptions securely from one application. Now, lab prescriptions can mean a variety of different things. Traditional prescriptions like Essex or Hawley's, in-house clear aligners, or digital treatments like a customized bracket system. All of those different prescription types can be tracked and managed in EasyRx. EasyRx is a secure location to manage all of your digital files, and a powerful software to help prepare print-ready 3D models. Here is a quick preview of the EasyRx Universal Lab Prescription Form. This is where you and your staff will go and create a case. It's simple, fast, and reduces errors. I will show you more on that later on in the video. And then we have the EasyRx Aligner Tracking System. This helps you create a digital workflow for all of your clear aligner cases, since these are different from other cases. EasyRx 3D provides you a fast, simple, and efficient solution to view and base digital models. You can trim, base, and label a model in under 2 minutes. Also in EasyRx 3D is EasyRx 3D Bracket Removal. This software allows you to digitally remove brackets from models. EasyRx integrates with a number of different softwares. These include practice management, lab management, treatment planning, intraoral scanners, and 3D printers. And this list of integrations is always growing. We want your digital workflow to truly be as easy as possible, which is also why we make inviting your commercial labs to use EasyRx so easy. Labs can sign up to become an EasyRx connected lab free of charge. This allows labs to receive cases, including any digital files, from any EasyRx practice and bring the case into their workflow. The lab can securely communicate with the practice on the case, helping both the practice and the lab maintain HIPAA compliance. EasyRx also offers GenMar Visual DLP. Visual DLP is a cloud-based dental lab management software built on over 30 years of experience in the dental lab industry. As an EasyRx connected lab, labs can fully integrate their lab management inside of EasyRx with GenMar Visual DLP. EasyRx acquired GenMar in 2019 to expand our offering for labs. GenMar Visual DLP supports invoicing and billing orders, managing production and accounts, and tracking remakes. It includes workflow for the lab, so when you submit a Holly retainer, they will go through their workflow to make that retainer. We've built EasyConnect to act as a platform to facilitate the sharing of data between EasyRx and GenMar Visual DLP. This platform will really expand our integrations and build a truly powerful platform because one of the cornerstones of EasyRx is to share data securely. Here are a few ways EasyRx helps you not only stream your workflow, but actually increase your revenue and save you time. Practices have told us that cumulatively, every EasyRx prescription saves them about 5 minutes compared to their current workflow. Saving 5 minutes to submit, manage, and track prescriptions gives you more time. And as we all know, time is money. So saving you time is saving you money. EasyRx improves appliance tracking. One example would be appliances not delivered, so the appliance comes back from the lab but was never delivered to the patient. So we're going to help you follow up and make sure that appliance is getting to the patient, which helps generate extra revenue. EasyRx 3D supports hollow bases on models. We've been told by our 3D integration partners that EasyRx hollow models saves about 25% of the resin material when printing. So maybe instead of $4 a model to print and manufacture at your in-house lab, it's now $3 a model, saving you $1 a model. Think about how many models you print a month. There's some real savings in EasyRx 3D. These are just a few examples of the ROI on EasyRx. There are many, many more examples. Now that we have an introduction on what EasyRx is and what we do, let's walk through the software to really give you a good feel of how EasyRx can improve your digital workflow. I am now logged in as a practice in EasyRx. This is what you see when you log in to your EasyRx account. This is the prescription dashboard, where all of your cases for all of the labs you work with will be. The benefit of EasyRx is they are all in one place. No having to log in to different portals to see cases from different labs. You can easily see what's going on with your lab prescriptions. There are a number of ways to filter cases to only see the cases that you want to see. The default view for my practice is the last 90 days for all of my offices and all of my doctors, so I have 37 cases somewhere in the process. You can filter on all of these items, like office, doctor. You can tag cases and filter based on tags. You can filter by which lab you submitted the case to, if the case was received back from the lab, and if the case has been delivered to the patient. This allows you to very quickly and easily see where different lab groups or prescriptions are. You can even create and save favorite views. So I can create a view for all of my W lab cases, which is a commercial lab that I do business with. Here are all of my W lab cases in the last 90 days. Maybe you have a view waiting on Dr. B approval, which is caught up right now. You can see waiting on doc to review. So you can have different views saved to quickly sort through your cases as they go through the workflow. As a case goes through the workflow, you can see where it is in the process. I clicked on view and I can see the case to the W lab for Kim Martin for a fluoride tray that was submitted on June 2nd. The lab has yet to check in the case. You can view the prescription, any digital files, and any comments, so you can easily see the status of the case. As the case goes through the workflow, you can see on the left side, you can check the different tabs to see the different cases. I have 1 case that's been completed, 6 that have been checked in, none that have been shipped back, and 14 cases that have been marked as received from the lab. So let's go create a prescription. You just click on Create Rx to start your prescription. You can, like I mentioned earlier, have EasyRx integrated with one of our practice management integration partners. This will launch EasyRx to the Universal Lab Prescription form and autofill a lot of this information. So this is the EasyRx Universal Lab Prescription form. In the upper left is where you will select where you are submitting this case, whether it be to a commercial lab, in-house lab, or treatment planning portal. As a practice, you can connect to any EasyRx connected lab, and you do that from the lab option at the top right side of the screen. For this example, I'm going to submit a case to the W lab. I don't have a practice management integration set up, so I will fill out the patient's information. The patient may already be in there. You select the date you need the case back by. The green around 19 indicates the soonest the W lab can get the case back to your practice, so you can't ask for a case sooner than the lab can produce it. You can select doctor, office location, which location the case needs to be shipped to, who took the scan, and who submitted the case. Then click Create to create the prescription. EasyRx has a universal library of parts, appliances, and templates. This includes over 700 different parts used to create appliances. For example, I can click RPE, and here are all of the RPE designs in EasyRx. You can click to add the RPE to the prescription. That works great day to day, but what EasyRx users really enjoy is the ability to create custom templates, making it even more efficient. So templates would be what you would do most often, and templates are assigned by lab. Here are the templates that I submit to the W lab. I'm going to select a Holly for this prescription, and it is the way that the office likes their Holly, so the staff doesn't have to ask the doctor how they want it. You may make some refinements if you need to. Hollies have acrylic, so the lab can create color charts of the colors they offer. This also applies for your in-house lab. Right at the chair, you can bring up the color chart and allow the patient to select their color, and it goes right on the prescription. As needed, labs can add additional part options, so I'm going to pick an alternate bow and wire gauge. You can type special instructions or comments to the lab, and if you find you type the same comments often, you can save the comment in Easy Comments, so you can easily click to add a comment. I'm going to scroll down to Model Source. This is going to indicate to the lab how you are getting the model to them. If you have done a plaster model or impression, you would select this and send the plaster model to the lab. You can select Use the digital model attached to the script and upload a digital file directly to the prescription. Or use the digital model attached to the patient file. If you are using an iTero scanner, you can type in the case order ID. If you don't know the case order ID, you can look up and insert, find the patient, and attach the scan. This will attach the open shell upper and lower STL to this prescription. You don't have to wait for it to attach. You can go ahead and sign and submit the case. Once you sign and submit, the prescription has now been submitted to the W lab. Moving back to the dashboard, you can see here is Kemsey's case that I submitted to the W lab. So you know that case has been submitted. Now let's go do another prescription so I can show you a couple of other features. I'm going to click Create a Prescription and select to send this case to my in-house lab. I'll enter the patient information, when it's needed back by, and the office information, and create the prescription. I'm going to select an Essex retainer for this case. Something that labs can do for commercial and your in-house lab is pricing can be added for the appliances. It would be regular pricing for commercial labs, and for your in-house lab, you can set up the pricing based on how you run your in-house lab, whether you have it as an expense center or a profit center. So while you are creating the prescription, you can go and see the price that's been entered by the lab. In this example, I can see that an Essex costs the practice $82. So maybe you're at the chair and the patient has lost their retainer too many times and you're thinking about getting them another one. You may say, wow, that's an $82 retainer I'm giving away. So it's easy to see the pricing information right when you're creating the prescription. Maybe I want to tag this prescription as a rush or a same day. So I will select same day because I need this turned around pretty quick. I will attach my iTero scans and submit the prescription. And now I've got a couple of prescriptions submitted, one to the W lab and one to the in-house lab. Now let's talk a little bit about tracking prescriptions. So I'm going to go back and create another prescription, and you will notice an Invisalign tracking lab. EasyRx does not support submitting a case to Invisalign. You will still have to go to the Invisalign site to create and submit prescriptions. And this would apply to SureSmile, 3M, Ormco, or any others. While you can't submit the prescription, a lot of our practices still want to track their cases in EasyRx. So we've created a tracker lab that has special features to make it easy for you to track these cases. I'm going to create an Invisalign case for a patient. Again, filling out the office information. On my Invisalign lab, I have a few templates for Invisalign, and then maybe I want to fill out some additional information about what I want submitted on the case. There's no need to attach STL files because I'm going to have to submit this case to Invisalign, which will get the scans from iTero. And I'm going to save this case. The workflow is now that this case is saved. It shows in the saved queue. Saved means they are prescriptions that have been started but have not yet been submitted. The workflow bar for the Invisalign case now outlines the steps for an aligner case. So the case has been saved and shows as scanned because we detected the iTero scans. When you submit the case to Invisalign, you can mark that case as submitted. So the workflow changes on these Invisalign cases to help you better track where the case is in the workflow. Now you do the ClinCheck back and forth, and when it is approved, you can mark it as ClinCheck approved. So now you have tracking for which cases have been submitted to Invisalign and which cases need ClinCheck approved. While you can do this at the Invisalign site, we had so many practices request to be able to track their Invisalign cases in EasyRx, we added these additional features. And this would apply to other cases like SureSmile, 3M, Ormco, or any cases you have to go back and forth with the manufacturer. You can set up these tracking features. So let's shift gears a little bit. I've done 3 prescriptions, 1 to a commercial lab, 1 to my in-house lab, and I've given you an overview of how to track Invisalign cases in EasyRx. Let me show you the workflow from the lab side. So I'm going to log out of my practice and log in as my lab. I'm logging in as the W lab, the lab that we had submitted the first prescription to. When labs receive a case, they can receive a notification in the browser. They can also be emailed a notification that a new case has been submitted. Here are the cases that the W Lab has received from the various practices that they do business with. And here is Kemsey's case that we had submitted earlier. The workflow of the lab is now to check in the case. When the lab checks in the case, the practice can look at their dashboard and see that the case has now been checked in by the lab. So you know that the lab has it in production. The lab can now edit the prescription, and you can no longer edit the case to prevent any mistakes. The lab now controls the case because they checked it in. Here's the Holly retainer. You can see any notes, the color of the acrylic, any comments or special instructions that have been added. And here are the STL files that came from the iTero integration. If the lab has implemented EasyRx 3D, they can go right into EasyRx 3D from the prescription and base this model to get it ready for 3D printing. And this would apply to your in-house lab. So your in-house lab, you could check in the case like I just did, and you can go right to EasyRx 3D to edit your 3D models. I'm going to use the EasyRx Easy Base feature to base this model with a hollow base, a 2mm base height, and a 2.5mm wall thickness. And I'm going to add a chamfer on the base. So I'm going to add this base. This will take a few seconds, but in just one step, we trimmed and based our model with a chamfered base to make it easier to pop off the build plate. And just like that, I was able to have a horseshoe hollow model. Now I'm going to add a label to the model with the patient's name so you know who this model belongs to when you pull it off the printer. You can add other items to the label, such as a number on the side of the tooth for the aligner number. Then I'm going to save this model back to EasyRx. So very easily and quickly, the model was based and saved back to EasyRx, where we encrypt everything that is stored. Now the commercial or in-house lab will go and print the model. To print the model, you would go up to the STL print list and view all of the models that need to be printed. Select the models that you want to print and go print the model. Going back to the checked-in cases, you can see Kemsey's case. When the lab has finished the case, they will mark it as completed. And when they ship the appliance, they can mark the case as shipped to let you, the practice, know the case is on its way. The lab can also include the tracking number to make tracking the shipment a breeze. The workflow on the lab side is just as powerful and just as simple as the practice side. Now, moving back to the practice side, you can see that Kemsey's case has been shipped by the lab. You can view that to track the inbound package and see the UPS tracking number. Once you receive the case back from the lab, you can go to the received column and mark the case as received, so you know that the case is back. You can even mark which location received that case. You'll notice there are a couple of options, received and re-sterilized. One piece of feedback we have received from practices is when the practice would receive the case back from the lab, they needed a way to track that the case had been sterilized. So when you mark it as received and re-sterilized, an icon appears next to the R to denote that the case has been sterilized. And when you're viewing a prescription, you can view the same icon on the prescription. When you look back at your dashboard, you can see a number of cases marked as received and re-sterilized. And when you deliver the case to the patient, there is a column to mark the case as delivered. There are a few options here as well: delivered, unable to deliver, or on hold. This helps you better track the status of the case. You can see on Kemsey's Holly retainer, the workflow is complete. It was submitted, checked in at the lab, completed by the lab, shipped back to the practice, received at the practice, and delivered to the patient. So now you have a full workflow for any case. You can go up at any point and look up the patient file and see their entire prescription history. So maybe Kemsey calls and says that she lost her Holly retainer. Whoever answers the phone at the practice can very easily go over to patients, type in the patient's name, look up the patient, and see that a Holly was delivered to the patient on the 3rd. Well, the patient lost the appliance, so right from the prescription, you can easily request a remake, which will duplicate that prescription, allow you to review the information, and quickly submit a remake. So now you can have a tremendous amount of information about your prescriptions available at any time from EasyRx. So I'll finish with information about your lab prescription usage in EasyRx. EasyRx has a data analytics feature called Stats that has all of your prescription data. For example, a very common area for people to review is how many cases they have submitted to their labs. So for a selected date range, you can see how many cases you submitted and to which lab. You can see I have done 26 cases for the date range to my in-house lab. And if the lab has put in pricing for their parts and appliances, you can see how much exactly you've spent during that time. That is further broken down by the different components. So you can see how many of a certain part you used and the cost of those parts. And you can further break that down by specific labs. So I'm going to filter for my in-house lab. For the date range selected, here are all of the parts I submitted to my in-house lab. So maybe you get down to the end of the year and want to see what you have done at your in-house lab. You can put in a year date range and quickly see the data for the entire year for your in-house lab. You can easily click Export CSV to export a file that you can view and really analyze what you have done throughout the year. And that's EasyRx. Well, a broad overview anyways. From submitting a case to a commercial lab or in-house lab, tracking aligner cases, editing 3D models in EasyRx 3D, managing all of your case information, and reviewing your practice statistics. There are many more great features to EasyRx that we can't wait to show you. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about EasyRx or getting started with EasyRx, please feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you.